hanging out for. Oh, there we go. I wonder when this thing was gonna take off. Ugh. Those folks were sketchy. They were like behind that thing. I don't know, it's like an electrical box. I don't know, some, tall thing. And one of them was like peering out at me. I did not care for it. But yeah, I didn't get to do. I was gonna say, hey, welcome to another episode. Like it's an actual series of me walking the sketchy route that I take to get home. But it was raining over by work, so I didn't do it because I didn't want to ruin my phone. And nothing sketchy happened, so not much would have happened. But it's usually just me. Here's the sketchiness. Oh my god. Yeah. A little bit smelly. But here's the sketchiness that's been building up. Is the trailers popping up here. Yeah, I walked by one of them. I think it was the first one that I just passed. And it had like a note on it that said like, no bullshit, you are being monitored and recorded. I'm like, kudos to them for going that hardcore at it, because 10 to 1 odds that you're not being recorded or monitored for the bulk of that time. Odds are if you're living out of your trailer, you probably don't have a 24-hour around-the-clock surveillance system at your disposal. Maybe he does. Somehow I doubt it. But anywho, yeah, of course, I only work till 9:30 tonight. Some nights I work past 11, and that's when it gets real interesting. But yeah, there was nothing. There was no weirdos hanging out by the high school as I was walking through there. That little dark stretch, nothing weird happened. It was fine, and honestly, the sketchiest part of my walk home after I get off the max is those freaking trailers starting to pop up alongside the road. And this is a big open stretch, and it's like there's a school over here, but you start getting towards the hospital stuff, and it's kind of just a straightaway stretch with not a whole lot around. It's mostly commercial stuff. I mean, if you can call a school and hospital commercial, it's not residential, essentially. So that happens from time to time where the trailers will just pop up there because, it's this open straightaway. It's logical, and they usually get moved pretty quick, but I've been noticing that they're not moving people as much. I don't know if it's, since the pandemic, the system is more focused on other things, so they're not really investing a lot into. It just seems like it's taking a lot longer for like sites where homeless people are getting run off from to get cleaned up, and it seems like they're not getting run off as often. Part of that, and it's like, that's what the city of Portland does, though. They push off, they shuffle the homeless around like they're cattle, is really what they do, and then it creates this image like the city's doing something about the homeless problem, but meanwhile, the things that really matter aren't getting done. And homeless people just set up camp here. They get to stay there for a couple of days and they get run off. They go over here. They get run off. So I swear I just heard someone scream. It sounded like it was coming from over there. The mall parking lot. I just saw someone cross the street. And I'm a little lackadaisical about coming through here. Like a little less than a week ago, there was some guy. Yeah, no, there's someone screaming over there. Some guy's screaming about something. And I don't think it's happy screaming. I just paused for a second, wondering if I could make some of that out. Then I hear the gunshots, and it's like, no, I'm out. I'm under the lights of the hospital. I'm an open, moving target. But whatever's going on, it's happening in the parking lot of the mall. Mall 205, a gathering place for America's best and brightest. Waiting for like a car to peel out or something. some next dramatic step, but no, it's just somebody screaming. And yeah, it sounded like it was coming from more back, like towards the Target part of the mall. It's like Target's over there, and then like here's the other end. So never a dull moment. Even tonight, I was just getting done saying, you know, not much happened. And then I pulled out the camera here because who knows what's going on with those trailers. Like when I was going to work, I had to like cross the street and meander by them because they were like congregating, and they looked pissed about something. And I'm like, I'm not walking right into this. None of them were wearing masks, which, you know, if you're living out of your trailer, or you're living on the street, I understand it a lot more if you're not wearing a mask. Just under the circumstances. But either way, like, they don't have masks on, they look pissed, they're conglomerating around the corner of this trailer. I'm like, I'm not walking into that. I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm not dealing. But hey, we got some screaming from the mall parking lot. Good thing I decided to, because sometimes, you know, when I get off a little, you know, I'm not getting off at like 11, I'll cut over and go to Target to get something. Which I didn't need to do tonight. I would have walked right into some shit. Because literally, when I started hearing that screaming, I would have been like right next to the Target if I had gone that way. So I would have been seeing whatever the hell that was up close and personal. I don't know, I haven't heard any more screaming. Just some bros having it out. It happens to the best and to the worst of us. But probably about as exciting as things are going to get over here, although you never know when someone suspicious is going to come wandering out of the darkness. But I mean, when it comes to the hospital, there's not really a whole lot of drama going on. There are, I guarantee you, some of these cars parked here though, at least one or two of them, there's probably people living out of them. Not that equates to, oh, something sketchy is going to happen. It's just, you see this line of cars and you're just like, oh, it's just people park. And then you look and all of a sudden there's somebody in one, and like you walk by and they're just like, and they're like, they just turn and glare at you. It's like, oh shit, did I do something? It'll throw you this van. I guarantee you somebody's living in this van. I mean, someone could be sleeping in it. There was no one at the wheel, no one at the helm, but could easily be somebody. I swear, in that particular spot where that van is, there's always like a van there randomly. Not that specific van, but random vans. There was like a reddish van that was parked there. There was a brown van that was there for like 2 weeks that a guy was definitely living out of. So that spot back there, that's like the spot for that specific niche of homeless people that live specifically in a van. And like the big vans, not even minivans, like the big, like, you know, you're transporting all of your equipment around. You're like a plumber and you need all your crap back there type of vans. Or rape van, that's another traditional name for them. The fewer windows, the more sketchy they are. Nothing going on over there. Yeah, several protests happened at the police precinct right up the road there, like I think like 2 nights worth. There may have been like another night where there was some stuff going on, but there was like 2 or 3 nights back in July of protesting right down there, and they boarded up the precinct literally up until like 2 weeks ago. So they kept it boarded up for like 8 months, and they just now finally took the boards off, and you can see all the like places where people like chucked stuff at the glass, and there's like these big, the glass isn't fractured, but it's like, you know, kind of like you throw something at a windshield and it like cracks the whole thing, and it gets really like, but it doesn't actually break the glass, but it just all just goes and like you can't see through it. It kind of looks like that, except like objects being thrown at it. And there was like an area towards the ground where the glass was real beat up. People probably like kicking at the glass or something. Probably the least proudest moment of that whole protest, because I understand what's being fought for, and I understand that, you know, one of the big things that's being fought against is you know, the police, their, you know, ability to just be able to do whatever they want, especially to people of color, without repercussions. It happens continuously. These crimes that certain police officers commit and perpetrate on people of color that are it's abundantly clear that they were done with malice. But because they're police officers and they're union, you know, a police officer could line up 10 children and shoot them all dead, and the police union would still back them. And I wish I was exaggerating that. But beating the hell out of a precinct and trying to set it on fire is only going to take away from your message, and it's going to give all the fodder and fuel in the world to the people that are trying to dismiss the, you know, because the other side is trying to say, oh, well, they're saying this is about Black Lives Matter, but it's just a bunch of, you know, crazies trying to go out and burn the town down. Well, when you go out and actually beat up on a precinct and try to set a fire in front of it, whether it was actually your intent to burn the place down, you're going to add credibility to that argument, which is not beneficial to the cause. So yeah, that whole angle, it's just like, no, don't do that. That's not benefiting your protest. And it's not protesting at that point. At least in the case of what was going on at this precinct. But anyway, this just popped into my head looking down the road, knowing that was there, knowing that, oh, they finally, and I'm like, why did they leave it? Because there hasn't been a protest around here in months and months and months. It's been like 6 months at least since there's been any kind of protest anywhere around here. But they kept the precinct boarded up, and then they like finally took the stuff down. And I don't want to call conspiracy, but I find it kind of interesting that right around the time that there's been, you know, it's like the 1 year anniversary, we're getting up to the 1 year anniversary, and like the Breonna Taylor case is back in the news, and all of a sudden the wood planks come down off of the precinct to show all the damage and be like, look what these hooligans did to our beautiful precinct. Which, for a little piece of side history, back in the early 80s, you know, a couple of police officers left some dead possums in front of an all-black business. And after a guy named Lloyd Stevenson was killed when he was a black man, and a police officer administered a chokehold to him that he held for way too long, and it ended up killing him. Police didn't get into any trouble, and after he was choked to death, a couple of officers sold shirts around like a big joke that said, "Don't choke 'em, smoke 'em," which not only is racist, because it was saying, hey, why bother using the chokehold when you could just shoot him dead, but it also showed this complete lack of restraint, this complete lack of responsibility on the part of the police, that they felt it was okay to conduct themselves in such a way to say that, like, to just be so openly racist, to be selling shirts around that say, oh, don't choke the black people, kill them. And the precinct, that the officers that of course got into trouble, and then the police union got all pissy and they immediately got their jobs back, even though they should have been thrown out on the street. The precinct where they sold those shirts was that same East Precinct right over there. So yeah, interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna be home before too long, so nothing really happened except that guy screaming. It's a wrap.